Don't hang up that phone. We've found what you're looking for. Welcome to the Let's Talk Cabling Podcast with Chuck Bowser, RCDD. Well, seeing how we're pulling Category 6A, the most powerful twisted pair in the world, you gotta ask yourself this one question. Did I pull 295 or 300 feet? Well, do you feel lucky? Do you, punk? What exactly does RCDD stand for? Registered Communications Distribution Designer. Just the expert you need to ensure your cable plant performs exactly as designed. The elite professional, knowledgeable, and experienced in leading-edge ICT design principles. Now, send the new guy to the truck for a bucket of dial tone and the cable stretchers, while you listen to an informative program on telecommunications.
All right. Thursday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That must mean it's time for After Hours Live with Chuck Bowser, RCDD technician. So remember, submit your questions. Submit your questions on TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever. I already got a good one on TikTok. I'm going to get to you. The Slayer. I'm going to answer that, but I got some questions first. How's everybody doing tonight? So first things first, you know we start every Thursday night after hours live stream with what are you drinking? What are you drinking? Again, Chuck is drinking, this time it's ginger ale, sugarless ginger ale, so Zevia. So there you go. What are you drinking tonight? Let me know in the chat box. Are you drinking an adult beverage? Moonshine. Angry Sparky's in the house. Angry. If it was moonshine, this show would be way more entertaining, my friend. Way more entertaining. So yeah, don't forget to tell us what are you drinking. Also on the screen right now, boom, you see the QR code. Actually, right there. It's backwards on the screen. Excuse me. Click on that QR code. Buy me a cup of coffee. If you buy me a cup of coffee, I will send you a complete set of podcast stickers, which includes the show sticker, Knowledge is Power sticker, and then the Knowledge is Power with the fiber optic cables coming out of the brain. So I will send you those if you buy me a cup of coffee. You can also schedule 15 minutes with me to ask me your technical questions on copper and fiber cabling, after hours, of course. So make sure you can do that as well. So there you go. I'll leave that QR code up for just a tiny bit longer. Now you know the next step after that is the acronym challenge. You know we do this every weekend. You know, acronyms are a thing in our industry. They really are. So today's acronym is NRTL. Angry Sparky, what is that? You should know, being an electrician. What does NRTL mean? I'll give you a few seconds here to figure that out. While you do that, well, I can't do that because if I play, I'll get kicked off because it's copyrighted music. What does NRTL stand for? Oh, by the way, I got to say my usual message for acronyms. Help control the acronym population. Please don't forget to spay or neuter your acronym. We have enough already. So NRTL, anybody want to take a guess? Let's take a look in the chat box. And Michael got it. Michael, make sure you email me your address for a complete set of stickers because he said it's Nationally Recognized Testing Laboratory, NRTL, Nationally Recognized Testing Laboratory. So what that means is people like Intertech and UL, they will certify products and make sure that they meet the NFPA standards, and then that way it becomes a listed product. Let's turn off that screen there. Sorry about that. Oh, I see Mr. Shotzi is in the house. Hello, Shotzi. So, and Michael is also drinking Dr. Pepper. There you go. So, not really totally legal. I don't know what's not really. Oh, yeah, gotcha. That's funny. I like that. Not really totally legal. That's pretty funny. That is pretty funny. So now let's go on to the Motivational Minute. The Motivational Minute. So today's motivational minute comes from George Patton. George Patton. And George Patton said, do everything that you ask of those you command. Do everything you ask of those you command. I live that. I would never ask my technicians to do something that I wasn't ready to do myself. As a matter of fact, a lot of times I was the first one to do it. If I asked them to get up on a ladder rack or something, or cable tray, I would be the first one to do it. If I had to go crawling in space underneath the floor, I would be the first one to do it. And then when I come out, I was like, now it's your turn. A good leader is going to be able to do that. Good leader is going to be able to do that. Also, now let's talk about the podcast. Last Monday night, did you catch the show? We talked to Gary Bebo from OptiView Armor Logics, and we talked about outdoor enclosures, PVC, fiberglass, and aluminum, right? Aluminum. We talked about how to heat them, how to cool them, how to mount them, right? So that's what we talked about last Monday. Next Monday, the podcast, we're going to talk about DAS systems, DAS, right? So make sure you pay attention and you watch that podcast. That'll be pretty cool stuff. So let's go ahead and get on with the first question. I want to cover the first question from TikTok, right? So let me scroll back up on there. And I'm only answering questions that have to do with communications, okay? I'm not, somebody asked me some Christian neo-Nazi, something. I'm not answering that. Don't care. We're talking about communications. So the Slayer on TikTok wants to know, would you rather have a technical college degree or certifications? Would you rather have a technical certification or certification? See, a lot of people don't know this about me. I have both. I have certification. I am an RCDD. I'm a Bixie technician. I'm also a former certified Bixie trainer, but I also have 2 undergrad degrees and a master's degree. I just don't talk about them that much. And now when I sit back and I look at my career, right? When I look at my career and I compare all those, right? Honestly, it kind of depends on what job it is that you want to do, right? If you want a job that's going to be more field related, like a technician, an installer, installing cabling, installing network equipment. I see you doing your network administration. A certification, I think, would probably be easier, not necessarily easier, but better, because it won't cost you as much, and you get the certification, and you can make as much money as somebody with a college degree. Right now, if you're going to strictly just to business management, then my opinion changes a little bit. I really think that you'd be better off with a college degree, because those upper levels in management, they really put more value on those than they do the certification. So if you're going to be in the field, certifications are the way to go, I think. And you can make as much money, if not more. So I really, really like that question. Tom the Slayer. Ed, the old tech guy's in the house. Thank you, Tech, for sending me those roses. Now let's go to the next question. So this one is from Silversberg10 from Instagram. And he wants to know, will bends in data wiring, like Cat5e and 6, slow data transmission? Kind of depends. Kind of depends on the size of the bend, right? Your number one job as you're installing cable is to keep a cable from keeping it from getting kinked, crushed, burnt, stepped on, run over by other trades. You want to keep it as pristine as possible, because they construct the cables with the pairs have certain twists, and for those pairs to be inside the cable at certain distances away from each other. So if you start doing things like you start making, now you can make a bend with a cable, but don't exceed the minimum bend radius. Don't exceed the minimum bend radius. Now, what is the minimum bend radius? Well, there's a couple different ways that you can do bend radius, but let's talk about the ones that are the most common ones. So for balanced twisted pair cabling, the minimum bend radius is, for 4-pair cable, it's 4 times the outside diameter of the cable. 4 times the outside diameter of the cable for 4-pair balanced twisted pair cabling. For backbone cabling, it's going to be 10. Copper backbone cabling, it's going to be 10. Optical fiber up to 4 strands when it's laying in the with no stress on it, 1 inch. If it's up to 4 strands and it's being pulled, then you need to keep it to a minimum of 2 inches. Intra-building backbone, meaning between buildings, while you're pulling it 10 times the diameter. When intra means within the building, I'm sorry. Intra building 10 times while you're pulling it. When it's at rest, just laying in there, you can actually have a smaller bend radius, right? So when you're pulling it, I got that backwards. When you're pulling intra building, inside the building, it's 15. When it's at rest, then it's 10. Sorry. My brain's thinking one thing, my mouth is saying something else. It happens sometimes. Now, here's one a lot of people don't know. Inter-building, meaning going between buildings, it's minimum of 20 times the outside diameter. Coax, flexible coax, 6 times the outside diameter, and also semi-rigid coax, 2 times the outside diameter. So how do you really figure this out? So let's say I've got a 25 pair cable, 25 pair category 3 balanced twisted pair cable. And I want to know what is my bend ratio. Well, remember, it's 10 times the outside diameter. So if my cable outside dimension is 0.334 of an inch, 0.334 of an inch, then my minimum bend radius for that cable is 3.3 inches. 3.3 inches. That's how you apply that rule. The next question comes from Ahmad E, and he sent this to me via LinkedIn. Oh, you know what? I didn't put the captions on there. Sorry about that. So the next question is from Ahmad, and he wants to know. This thing's all messed up tonight. Can you please tell the difference between a surface mount box and a Mutowa and the installation restrictions? What is the difference between a surface mount box and a Mutowa and the installation? Well, a surface mount box comes in a wide variety of number of ports. You can buy one with a single port, 2 ports, 4 ports, 6 ports, and even larger than that. Now, if it's being used to go to the telecom outlet, TO, it's only going to serve one work area. One work area. That one work area, though, should have a minimum of 2 cables, right? 5E for voice or 5E or above for data, or optionally 2 strands of fiber. Now, when you talk about a Mutowa can be a surface mount box, a faceplate, a patch panel, or some other type of a device that has a lot of ports, and it serves multiple users. That's the biggest difference. A surface mount box only servicing just one user, it's just a surface mount box. But if it's a surface mount box with lots of ports to support multiple people, then it's a Mutowa, right? Now, you asked for some installation tips. Here's some installation tips for Mutowas. Number 1, limit the Mutowa to serve no more than 12 work areas. 12 work areas. Because we're allowed to run 2 cables for every work area, so 2 times 12 is 24, right? So if you got a piece of furniture that's going to have more than 12 work areas, that's going to be a big piece of bunch of furniture. Consider running 2 Mutowas and have them coming from opposite directions, okay? Also, make sure that Mutowa is at least 50 feet away from the horizontal cross connect. That's because of return laws. It's got to be far enough away that when that reflected signal comes back, it doesn't mess with the transmitter. Also, when you're mounting that Mutowa, mount it on permanent building structure. Permanent building structure. Okay? That means a wall, a column. It can even be the first piece of furniture if that first piece of furniture is permanently bolted to the wall. Oh, by the way, if you want to come on the show, here's the link for it right there. Right there. Ding, 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 ding. There it is, right there. I will accept somebody coming on the show tonight if you have some questions. Going back to his question. So make sure you also don't, when you place that Mutowa, that you put it somewhere where it's not going to be obstructed. If you're mounting on the wall, make sure you don't put it somewhere where they're going to put a file cabinet in front of it. If you're mounting it in the floor, make sure they don't put a piece of furniture over top of it. Okay? Make sure it doesn't get blocked. And another thing with Mutowa is you got to pay attention to labeling. Labeling. Right? Because you got a lot of ports going into that device. So now what that means is you're going to have to label it. Now, the Mutowas, when you talk about Mutowas, remember your maximum patch cord lengths are 5 meters or 16 feet for a single patch cord, or 10 meters or 33 feet or 32 and change, right? For all patch cords combined. But you are allowed to have a longer patch cord if it's going to a Mutowa, because sometimes you need longer patch cords. So you want to make sure that you label this correctly, the Mutowa. The first label you want to put on it is what is the maximum length of patch cord that Mutowa can serve. Okay, and because for that reason for that is because there's a chart in the Telecom Distribution Methods Manual that tells us what is the maximum length of patch cords for different lengths of permanent links for Mutowas. So, for example, for a permanent link that's 295 feet or 90 meters for my European friends, the maximum single length patch cord is 5 meters or 16 feet. But if you're paying attention and you have a shorter run because you rerouted it and now it's only 230 feet long, well, now you can have a 72-foot patch cord because the signal coming out of that 230-foot cable will be stronger than the one coming out of that 295 because it didn't have to travel that extra distance. Okay, so you are allowed to have longer patch cords. So that's why you want to put that label on that faceplate, which says what is the maximum length patch cord for that Mutowa. Now think about this. You got the Mutowa mounted on the permanent building structure. Now you're running the patch cords through the furniture and you're going to plug them directly into the telephone, directly into the computer. Well, if you try to identify that patch cord, that's going to be a bit difficult because it's running through, behind the kick plates or maybe the belt line channel. So put 2 labels on each patch cord, one on each end. The label on the patch cord that's going to plug into the Mutowa, make sure that you put that label that says what work surface it goes to. And then where the patch cord comes to the work surface, that label should tell you which port on the Mutowa that it goes to. Right. And that will help you with those. Next question. This one comes from Chris. Chris sent this to me via email. Chris says, if I install a sleeve from the ceiling through the ceiling tile to bring my cables to a rack, do I have to fire stop that? Typically, no. The majority of the time, no. That's not considered an architectural assembly. An architectural assembly is something that's designed to stop fire from spreading as fast. Ceiling tiles aren't really considered architectural barriers most of the time. So, but I understand what you're doing because many installers will actually put a piece of conduit through the ceiling just to make the job look a little neater. A lot of technicians will also use fire stop systems for that, right? So if you're using a fire stop system for that, number one, make sure that when you put it in, that you secure it to the wall so it doesn't come off. And I also recommend that even though it's not a fire stop, you seal that because that's going to keep heat, odors, and rodents coming from the ceiling down into the actual floor space itself. Hello, Anthony. How you doing, my friend? Good to see you here. So I do suggest that you do that. Next question. This one comes from Jackson. Jackson on TikTok. And he says, I started a new job and brought my hard hat from my previous job. My new company says that I have to replace my old one because it's too old. Why? Oh, you're going to want to pay attention to this one, Anthony. Well, let's talk about this. First off, the hard hat, it replaces one of the most critical things that you have, your brain, right? So hard hats are rated for the type of work that you're doing. They're rated for getting a blow to your head, falling debris. Oh, I got a funny story about falling debris. My brother one time had a hammer fall off a ladder and hit him on the head, and he was not wearing his hard hat. And also it's to protect you from electrical shock. Now, in your hard hat, it should fit you securely, so enough that it doesn't fall off your head most of the time, unless you're doing something stupid, and it should not block your vision. Some people like to have chin straps with the hard hats. I've never been a big fan of the chin straps, but if you do have one with chin straps, then you need to make sure that the chin strap will break off easily, so that way if you happen to fall and your hard hat catches something, it doesn't rip your head off or break your neck. This is where you want to pay attention, Anthony. You want to inspect your hard hat regularly. You want to look for things like cracking, scratches, and weakness of the internal suspension of the hat. Do not paint. Do not put stickers on your hard hats because they could cover the defects. Also, a lot of people don't know that some of the adhesives for the stickers could actually weaken your hard hat. Now, if the sticker has some type of some type of foil to it, or some type of metal, that might even mitigate the electrical protection. So never put stickers on your hard hats. You hear me, Anthony? Never paint your hard hats. Okay. And also, generally, if you have a hard hat that hasn't been dropped a million times and has all kinds of stuff, they can last. They recommend they get replaced about every 5 years. Every 5 years. Right. So Anthony says, but there are safety stickers for the GC. Yeah, I agree with that. And that's kind of funny that the safety guy is giving you that sticker because there could be a potential defect behind that sticker. So you would think. The reason they do that is because they want to be able to tell if everybody on the job site has gone through the safety program, right? And stickers are cheap as opposed to printing off a badge and making everybody wear badges. The next question, this one comes from Julio on Facebook. Julio wants to know, what is dispersion and how it relates to fiber optic cabling? What is dispersion and how does it relate to fiber optic cabling? Dispersion is when the mode, now mode is just the light going down the fiber, when the mode widens and it spreads out as it travels going down the length of the fiber. Now the danger is if that mode widens too much, it could actually overlap and the receiver won't be able to tell one pulse from another pulse. And when that happens, then you start getting errors because the receiver is not able to read the pulse, which are your bits. And then next thing you know, your bit error rate starts going up and you start having problems with your network. Now, this is different from modal dispersion. Modal dispersion is typically found in multi-mode fiber when you have multiple modes of light going down the fiber all at the same time. Now, they're all going down the fiber at the same time, but they're taking slightly different paths. One might be going down the center. The other one might be bouncing. So they're actually, even though they're taking multiple paths, one is actually taking a longer path. So modal dispersion is when those modes of light all get there at different times and starts getting what's called a flattening of the bit. A flattening of the bit. Okay, next question. This one's from Gabe. Gabe says, do you have any recommendations for videos on copper or fiber cabling? Now, my question here is, are you looking for finished products of videos to compare, or are you looking for instructional videos? Now, if you're looking for finished product videos, go to Instagram, go to TikTok, go to Facebook. There's lots of many good examples. There's also some examples of bad work too. If you're just doing that, check out Shutsky or the Fiber Cartel. For the copper, check out All Green Lights, Sean Rep, Sprinter IT. Those are all great installers. Okay, if you want to see how it's done. Now, if you're looking for instructional videos, I don't know of any instructional videos off the top of my head. Now, I know, if you know, and the audience members, if you know where there's a video that, what's his name again? Video that Gabe can go to look how to install stuff, let me know in the chat box somewhere, right? Now, I know Bixie used to have a video on VHS tape, shows how old it is, that you could watch. I don't think they sell that anymore, right? But here's the thing. Whatever source you decide to use, make sure you evaluate where that resource is coming from, right? Because, number one, is it coming from a trade organization? Is it coming from a large installation company? Well, then that might be a little better, right? There is tons of bad stuff out there. There's people out there saying, look, this is how you do it. And I look and I cringe. Some people go into the chat box and say, oh man, this looks horrible. I don't even do that. I just don't. Right. So just make sure that you evaluate those resources, right? Because there are good ones and there are bad ones. Right. Let's go back. Let's look at some of the chat questions. And here, let me see what we've got here. Michael says, always remember to size pulleys at the bends according to the bend rate as well. Very good, Michael. Yes, I was just reading that actually. I was on Gernard's tool webpage, and they were actually talking about sizing the thing. So, because you don't want to use too small of a pulley that could cause damage to your fiber cabling. So great point. Great point. Let me see who was this here. 73 hertz says, or use zone enclosures. Zone enclosures. Zone enclosures, I think you really mean zone distribution areas, ZDAs. They're really for data centers. Now, here's the thing. Let me say this: 73 hertz. Everybody's got a different name for everything. So you might be calling a zone enclosure what we call a consolidation point, or vice versa. The difference between I've said this, I think just last week's show, or maybe the week's show before that. The difference between a consolidation point and a Mutowa is how many times you make the changes. Mutowas are designed for less frequent changes. Consolidation points, sorry, we got that backwards. Mutowas are designed for more frequent changes. Consolidation points are for less frequent changes. Okay, so that's really the biggest difference between those, right? So let's go back and let's see. I don't have any other questions here. Especially comes to play. Click here to showcase on the stream. Okay, I got you. Let's see what questions we had here in the TikTok feed. So Ed, the old tech guy, wants to know, do I think that traditional wax lacing like Kansas City stitch is dead? I still like it for power. So for those who may not know what that means, in the central office world, where they were doing lots of 25 pair, 50 pair, 100 pair cables, they didn't use tie wraps. They used wax string. And there's a couple of different ways. It's a couple of different knots. There was the Kansas City notch and a bunch of others. And it's just the way that you tie the knot on the wax string, and it makes it the cable look all nice and pretty. It's fine for power. It's fine for category rated, multi-pair backbone cable. I don't think I would use it for high performance data cabling, because with high performance data cabling, remember, it's critical to keep your cable from getting crushed. And with any of the wax strings, there's a potential for you to kind of over cinch on it and cause it to have problems. That's always an issue, always a potential issue. Oh, I forgot to remember, we got a few minutes here, so if you want to jump on the show, there's the link for it right now. The link is bit.ly/. That's not the right link. That's not the right link. It's not that one. It's bit.ly LTC 8, whatever today's date is, 8/25. That's what it is. So we got another question here. This is again from Ed, the old tech guy. Extending a PoE camera distances over 1,000 feet. What cable? Is coax Ethernet the best option? Well, you could always do fiber with some type of a copper conductor for the PoE side, but that's going to be kind of expensive. Coax will get you your distance. I'm not sure about the PoE portion of that, though, unless you get some type of a hybrid cable. I'm going to have to research that question. Because when you start getting out to 1,000 feet, that's a pretty good distance. Right? Let's see, what other questions do we have here? So why has born-again Christianity morphed into a neo-fascist dystopian death cult? Yeah, whatever. So somebody asked me, would I recommend my PT550W printer? Sure, I would. I love that thing. You kidding me? He's talking about my brother P-Touch printer right there. I love that thing. I use it for patch panels and cabling. I also we have a homestead. We do canning. I use it to label my mason jars. I use it to label our stuff out in the garden. And I tell you what, in Florida, UV will kill a lot of stuff. I've got labels of my P-Touch on some of our plants out there that just Florida sun cannot touch. So I absolutely would recommend that. So there you go. I got one, but when I roll over a Cat 6 cable, the clear film gets out. Check with brother. You might be using the wrong type of tape. That might be with the issue there, right? So the problem is, check with brother. Todd Morse of Brother Solutions. He has a podcast as well. He does his shows, I think, on Thursday at noon. Get on the show and ask him. He does one every once in a while called Ask Todd. Just get on the show and ask him. You'll be good to go, right? So let me see. What other questions do we have? Let me see. Don't see any more there. Sober Billy. Oh, I love that name. That's cool. Sober Billy. Checking the chat box here. Well, I don't have any more questions. I don't have any more questions. So here we go. There it is. There we go. So I'll wait just a few minutes. So if you want to get on the show tonight, the live stream right now with me, I'll give you exactly 2 minutes to do this. Go to bit.ly/LTC825. bit.ly/LTC, lowercase LTC 825. 825. Or you can even send me one here on TikTok. I'll give you a minute or two. We hit our 30-minute mark. I usually try to limit these to 30 minutes. And let me see, do I have any other questions? I don't see any in TikTok. Just a great guy. How you doing, my friend? Glad to see you. All righty. So if I don't have any other questions, geez, that's going to be the end of the show, because 30 minutes is what I shoot for anyway. I got to go to the store to pick up some. My wife caught COVID. Dang it. We live in the country. We thought we'd escape COVID, but nope. So there you go. All right, everybody. So everybody on YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook, no other questions. Nobody joined. So I'm going to go ahead and end that stream, and I'm going to be on TikTok for a few minutes. So until next time, everybody, remember,